Welcome, everybody, to episode 171 of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We are your host, Adam, Amy, and Russell Gibson. And the NBA season is underway. People
Properly
are
underway. Yep.
putting up points, getting injured, missing games, being fined. All the good stuff's happening.
Yeah. Teams winning
not all the good stuff. There's some bad stuff, but
teams winning you didn't expect to win. Teams losing you don't expect to lose.
I think has everybody got a win now? I think Utah won the other day. I'm pretty sure. I think everybody's got a win.
So if Utah gets a win before, say, the 76ers, that's kind of funny.
Well, I was going to say the 76ers are in that similar conversation piece because aren't they literally
they're 1-7. Okay, you're right. Yeah. So the Jazz have actually got 2 wins, man. So
have they really?
All right, let's just get straight into it because we actually had this in the sheet. Let's just skip down a couple of things and let's just go to our early season takeaways. What have you got so far? Like, what's surprising you?
Overreactions are a terrible thing. That's what's not.
No, but at this point, we're 11 games in. If you're talking about the Cavaliers,
I'm not. I'm surprised by the Cavaliers. I will.
Yeah.
Put my hand up and say I was waiting for them to sort of come up against some real competition and fall over.
Yeah,
and that hasn't happened yet. Strangely. They're looking good. I haven't got a bad word to say about the Cavs. They gave us a spanking. I didn't appreciate that, but it was other early takes. I guess it's good to see Ja Morant back. That man can fly.
Yeah, ridiculous, isn't he?
That layup is, that was.
You're talking about the 360 ones, yeah.
The 360. That was. It's good to see Ja back.
Yeah.
And the Warriors aren't done yet.
Yeah.
They're my 3 takeaways.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah, so I think for me, obviously, the Cleveland one is definitely taking me by surprise. And it's a really good surprise, but also it's not overly shocking too, just with the continuity that they've actually had. And they believed in that roster and they've invested into it and they've kept it together. So I'm super happy about it. I think Evan Mobley is playing really well. And I think this might be maybe the best version we see of Evan Mobley. So if you like to see versatile big guys play both ends of the floor, play the right way, then probably tune into some Cleveland League Pass because I think they've been pretty fun this year.
Yeah.
I think my other one that I sort of appreciate more than anything is probably the Bulls this year. I just think they've just been such a pleasant surprise. How I sort of felt about, say, Charlotte Hornets 2 years ago and maybe last year the Magic. I was just like, they were just a fun team I always enjoyed to watch. So I'm putting Bulls into that sort of thing there. Look, I'm a bit sad about the Magic. I think Banchero being hurt is a really a big blow because actually if you look at the East, so you go to number 3, you've got the Knicks at 4-4. So it's such a soft conference in that sort of middle bit. So if you had someone like Banchero who was back for the Magic,
the East have been really a bit of a punching bag for the rest of the league at the moment.
Yeah, you can make a strong argument. Okay, well, the Magic would be in 3rd place right now. Like that's a really big bit of progress. I think the Hawks are probably the one to watch because I kind of feel like they don't own their own pick this year. Are they going to make sort of a desperation trade? Are they going to try and make something happen? And they've had a lot of injuries this year too, and I think that hasn't helped their stock at all. And then
that's true. Well, looking at the East, I think the summary after you go the top 2 being Boston and Cleveland, the key question I have is what do the Utah Jazz, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Milwaukee Bucks all have in common? And that is 7 losses against their name. They're like 3 of the bottom 5 are those 3 teams.
Yeah.
It's...
So the 76ers, this is the other one that's kind of this is really interesting too. So they're 1-7 at the moment.
Yeah.
Now, what teams can do. So think about what the Spurs did years ago when they won the Tim Duncan lottery. The Admiral was out sort of for half a year. They didn't bring him back. They basically just tanked a year, even though they probably could have been competitive.
Sure.
Maybe snuck in and got the 8th seed. The 76ers can't do that this year. They can't do a sneaky tank because guess who owns their draft pick? Oklahoma City Thunder owns their draft pick, top 6 protected. And so and this is in my head where I think this is super risky for the Sixers is just say they qualify in 10th.
Yeah.
But because the East is pretty soft, actually that might be, I was trying to guesstimate the numbers. I think actually it could be anywhere between 14 and 13, 14, 15. That's realistically where it could come in. And then the Thunder get that pick too. Like,
can you imagine that? Like the Thunder, there's a realistic chance that they're going to be here at the pointy end of the season. The Thunder could potentially win a
still be
championship and get the number 1 pick. Can you imagine that?
So, is that maybe? Are you saying that the Clippers bottom out and get the number 1 pick, and then there's a pick swap there? Like, I don't know all their picks off the top of my head, but yeah, I think you're right. Though it would be pretty crazy. I think the other one too is just so if you go to Kirk Goldsberry on Instagram, Twitter, like wherever you want to follow him, and you just see the efficiency numbers for the Warriors. So they're like top 5 offense and defense at the moment.
Golden State.
Yeah. And so historically, what normally that means is you're going to be a really good playoff team. That's sort of where that's at. So that's really taken me by surprise a little bit. Oklahoma is easily the best defensive team in the league by like a significant margin. But what has actually taken me bad by surprise is just their offensive numbers. Like, they're not that good. So, whether that sort of evens out a little bit as the year goes on. And sort of funny, I don't really think of them as a fantastic defensive team. I more think of them as a very sort of offensively versatile team, but
yeah,
they are stifling, and so that's kind of fun to watch too. Like, it's not that often you actually say, look, I enjoy watching teams play good D, but they're really, really good. And I think if you sort of just really quickly zoom down to the bottom, then the Pelicans at 3-7, they're in big trouble. And I think that's probably our first segue into the first thing that we we're going to talk about in the show.
So we're sort of segueing back to
into a segue.
But the segue reverse, 2 segues we're back onto the run sheet.
Yeah, back onto the run sheet. It's quite nice, really.
Yeah.
So Zion's out indefinitely, and that was what do we call it? A sham bomb? Do we call it a?
I guess we've got to figure out a shabomb.
It's weird not having Woj around. I do miss Woj, I must say. Look, I think Shams is doing a good job. I'm definitely not throwing shade at the guy, but I have to admit,
we'll have to
quite love Woj.
Really have to think about that. Shams will make it. Will evolve.
I'm sure I'll grow to love him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Zion's out indefinitely. I think for me, there's 2 things that comes to my head sort of straight away. The first thing is that I think the Pals are in really big trouble this year. And then the second thing is I think I'm done with Zion. I can't.
I think Zion's done with Zion if he's out indefinitely. Oh, my goodness.
There was sort of a piece in the back of my head where I'm like, look, it's going to be okay. I think he's still got a chance to bounce back. But this is just again and again and again. You know what I mean? I just can't.
But if he's got hamstrings that are made of, I don't know.
I just can't keep doing this. And then it's the whole thing. Zion, takes a Zempic and gets back into shape, and here he comes, like he's ready to go and, blah, blah, blah. But
ready to kill it.
I'm out, man, honestly. So in the last 3 months, he's down 22%. Last sold for 310.
Really?
What I would like to do, though, is direct comp this to Ja Morant. Because I think this is going to be the really good sort of like, comparison here. We go, okay, great. We've got one guy going down, and then I think we're going to see one guy
the resurgence
going up.
Of Ja.
Yeah.
Of so the flying man himself.
Actually, he's not that much up. So the last 3 months, he's up 5%. He's actually had a couple of pretty big swings here, though. He was up to 740 at one point. So, it depends which way you look at the stats, but he last sold for 575. So in terms of the dollar value, that's $200 plus difference between him and Zion. And who would have thought when these guys came out of the draft, like for a really long time, Zion was, way, way ahead of. Oh, do you know what would be really cool if you could plot the 2 graphs at the same time to sort of watch their ups and downs?
This would be one of those, let's reach out to Ryan Gemrate and be like...
Ryan would know how to do it, yeah.
We want to play with some data. No, I like it. It's frustrating at times watching Zion like this.
I'm done.
I know. I
actually don't know I'll watch a single more Pelicans game this year. I actually don't care for it. I don't care for Ingram.
Even like the last 3 months before the injury, there was no confidence. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know, if you go to the 6-month prices... Oh, no, people did get a bit excited.
Yeah, definitely.
But really, like 6 months ago, we were at below 300, and now we're just above it. No. Bye-bye, Zion.
Yeah, I think just get rid of it while you can.
Is it a definite sell? Or is it just going to tank out now? Are you going to just lose money doing this?
I don't know how many Zion cards I'm holding, maybe 5 or 10. Like, it's nothing in the scheme of things. And,
yeah,
how many $1 billion came off the market due to Zion's declining prices. Who knows? So like, I'm not affected. I'm not in the game. Do you know what I mean? So it's very easy for
I'm
me to
just
say
looking at
this.
I'm looking at the jar game now. Yeah.
But I honestly, I just feel exhausted by this. I just feel, and I also kind of feel like too, there's more interesting things for us to talk about. Like this story's played out. So for me, I'm sort of now thinking, what's the guy's best case scenario? Maybe it's Bill Walton. You know, he goes to a really good team. He comes off the bench and helps them win a championship. You know, maybe that's the high point of what his career is going to be. But
yeah, it's pretty bad though.
it's a shame. The guy just can't keep healthy. He's insanely skilled and all the rest of it. But
when he exited the playoffs the play-in last year before the playoffs, that hamstring injury against the Lakers, it was so heartbreaking. He was turning the game. He was about to run over the top of LA.
Yeah.
Every time he gets your hopes up like that, though, I think that would have been the most he strung together in a whole season, that little patch.
Yeah.
Like last year.
It's
and if
not
that's
his
the
talent.
best we're ever going to... It's not the talent at all. It's the health.
Yeah.
But you can't. A man that has tissue paper for hamstrings is not... With that size body as well.
Yeah, he's a machine.
Unfortunate indeed.
Alrighty, so Ja Morant at $575, buy, hold, or sell, lad?
Well, it's definitely not a sell.
It's a buy.
It's going to the moon. It was a buy at 400. It was, we should have been on it a year ago when it was a year and a half ago. No, got to 350 in January at the start of this year.
Yeah,
it was a huge dip, but in the last 6 months, it's up 40%.
So even if you look at that point where it's up to $600-700, and now it's at high fives. In my head, there's no reason why can't they get back to 740 in the next couple of months. I don't see any reason for it not to.
I think he's in that 5 to 6 range. If he's going to keep flying like he is, and Memphis do well as a result, I don't see it being outside that $700. Getting up to Tatum levels. Is that
that's
we
right.
set the benchmark, right? Yeah.
I got no problem with it being in that $700 range. Honestly, it's totally fine.
But I think Ja has proven in these early stages of the season how good he is when he's
and super interesting. Actually, if you look at the all-time data on that ad, there's not that much. Well, it has been recently sub 1,000, but if you sort of look at the stats, and obviously, let's just sort of take out the plus 2,000 and just sort of call it $1,000, right?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a really big chunk there where it has been in that $1,000 mark. So for me, in my head, for that to get back to 1,000, I don't think that's going to be outrageous for that to happen.
2 years
there's
ago,
a lot of excitement.
It was $1,200.
Yeah, he's a very exciting guy. I think he's a natural born leader. Like you can see that team rallying around his energy and his play.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
Let's do one.
Jar is in buy mode.
Yeah, let's do one really quick thing and we'll go to a break. Okay, so I think we have to talk about the Embiid fine. We did touch on 76ers before and their lack of success. I think this is just adding to the fire. So he sat out a couple of games at the start of the year. He made a declaration that he wasn't going to play back-to-backs at all this year. He was going to rest his body.
Yeah.
He was fined $100,000 for that statement. And then he got into an altercation with a reporter, which was reported on Twitter and all the rest of it. I didn't really pay too much about it. Apparently he pushed the guy and then he's now been suspended 3 games for that. So that's just really, making the 76ers life hard. He also has to give up his pay too. I suppose he gives it to the NBA, doesn't he? So it's like a huge financial burden for him too,
That's
Do you think 3 games is reasonable? Do you think it's unreasonable? Like I
think it sends a message. Like it's a slap on the wrist in like equivalent to him.
Really?
Well, it's 3 games. Like, yeah, sure. For us, losing, I don't know, a couple of $1 million might be somewhat significant. Joel Embiid probably doesn't give a shit.
The money, not so much, but I think the game time, I think is a little bit surprising for me because
being suspended for games.
Yeah, if the guys fight, they might get, say, between 5 and 8 games. To push somebody,
three games is sending a very clear message. Say, well, it's like and I don't want to go too far down it, but in the AFL, if you touch an umpire, that's huge. That's worse than hitting someone in the jaw.
But a news reporter is not an umpire.
But it's like the athletes getting into altercations with non-athletes, there's a physical discrepancy. And I think they're trying to protect the civilians, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because
I personally
person
think
in
that
the
guy should
media
just write a
might not
hit
be.
piece about him. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But the NBA need to send. It's not so much about what actually transpired. It's sending the message that you can't do that.
Yeah, sure.
And
I
how
think,
serious
to
they
your
treat
point, Joe Dumas, who was essentially the man who hands out the punishments, I think he's been very conservative.
Yeah.
And wants to produce an image of the NBA that, they're not thugs and fighting is not permitted and all that type of stuff. So that fits into your narrative that you've just said there. So
yeah, I just think I think they have to be stern. They have to be stern with the way they draw a line here.
Yeah.
Because if you send a message that it's okay, then what's going to start happening? Bronny James pushing the media at G League game.
Alrighty. Hobby Hangout, 17th of November. It is literally 1 week away. So Melbourne, get your tickets.
You better have your tickets. Come on.
We're going to be there. We've got stickers. We've got a nice little sign this year. We're going to have a traders box. We're going to be doing a live podcast. I want to be interviewing people this year. This is something I really want to do. So come and talk to us. We'll do like a little bit of a question and answering type thing. We can record it. We can edit it in.
I've got a recorder. I've got a recorder here.
Beautiful. Adam's got a recorder. We're going to be set up. We've got a power cord sorted out. The guys from Hobby Hangout are going to do that for us this year. So get your tickets, thehobbyhangout.com.au. Also, Sydney people, you have not been forgotten. Do not worry. Sydney, Sunday the 1st of December at the Sydney Roundhouse. Again, get your tickets at thehobbyhangout.com.au. Workshops, trading zones, poker zone, live breaks, panel, hosted by the one and only Matthew Payne. Matthew Payne, we are calling you out. Get onto the podcast. We've emailed you for an appearance. We're going to publicly pressure you until you come on. Card Fever, One Stop Poker Shop, DG Collectibles, Harbour Collectibles, TCG Grading, Something Card Strike, 1-0 cards. It goes on and on. Jake's Breaks. Check it out, guys. Sydney, the Hobby Hangout on the 1st of December. Adam, how are you feeling? Are you feeling well rested?
Always feeling well rested after a break.
What did you drink in your drink break?
Just good old-fashioned water, H2O.
Oh, H2O. You need some high-quality H2O, that's for sure.
We're in Melbourne. We've got the best H2O in the world.
I mean, we have to have something that's the best, right? All right, this next one's actually a serious one, so it is a genuine shout-out to Gregg Popovich. There's various rumors floating around at the moment of various, different maladies that he's got. We're not going to speculate on that. No. What we are going to say is that he's currently away from the team with an undisclosed health issue, and we wish Pop nothing but the best. We hope he comes back sooner than later, and to a speedy recovery, Coach Pop. We love you. I think that's probably the main thing we wanted to say, and I think I can't actually remember basketball without Pop in it. Do you?
No, it wasn't prominent, but Gregg Popovich is pretty...
Who was the coach before Pop and the Spurs? That is a great trivia question.
Yep, no idea.
Was it... he also coached the Orlando Magic to the finals. His name was Brian...
Scalabrine.
Oh, man.
Anyway. No, I wouldn't have the slightest. It's synonymous. If you say go Spurs go, all I think is Gregg Popovich.
That's it.
It's like he defined San Antonio basketball for more than 2 decades. 3 decades.
Yeah, it's insane, honestly.
Yeah, it's insane.
Bob Hill.
Bob Hill?
That was who it was.
Bob Hill.
Anyway.
Reckon they can get him back just to fill in for a little bit while...
All right. Now, I've been practicing this off the air, so bear with me, peeps. Zaccharie Risacher is the Atlanta Hawks' number 1 pick, and due to fortuitous luck, if you want to call it that, he's been playing a lot. They've got a lot of injuries on their roster at the moment, and he is being absolutely balling. He's been playing quite well with Jalen Johnson, and I'm really, really enjoying watching this kid play. I think the Hawks
he had a shocking couple of games to start, but
he did. He did, but that's,
he's a rookie.
I think that's I think that's part of the show. So he's been playing really well. He had a 33-point game against the Knicks the other day, 11 from 18, 6 of 10 from 3, 5 from 9 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 3 steals. Look, I think you need these things every now and then to sort of come along and happen, because I think if the number one pick is an absolute stinker and it's going into new product, I think that's a real problem, I think, for people. So
yeah, agreed.
if you are on the podcast formats, every week I put all the links from the show into the description, so you can see one of them there, which is his highlights onto that. Definitely worth a 2-minute watch. He's absolutely out there balling. So definitely one to put on your watch list. I think in terms of pricing, though, it's not really something you would automatically begin to speculate on, just because of the normal rule of thumb is that when everything first comes out, it's really high, and him being the number one pick, I think that's going to be pretty tricky.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, if you do want to speculate against the grain and you think that this year's rookie class is absolute dog turds and you want to look somewhere else, we were talking about this off the air, you can look no further than the 2021 draft, where these guys are now 3 years in. They're very well established, and actually looking back at this draft, we'll talk about this off the air. It's looking like a really awesome draft class. We've got Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Suggs, Josh Giddey, Kuminga, Franz Wagner. Well, Davion Mitchell's not playing that well, but, further down the list, Moses Moody, you've got Şengün, Troy Murphy, who I love, Jalen Johnson, who I again love. He went at 20. Like, there's a lot of talent there. I think there's
a lot there. Santi Aldama, playing well for the Grizz at the moment.
I think he's a bit of a more of a deep cut sort of prospect, but at the same time,
sure. But then the Nets have got Cam Thomas,
yeah. Cam Thomas is selling really well again. He's bounced back after his dip off. So how we came onto this segment, though, so on the Bill Simmons podcast on the 5th of November, and I'm quoting Simmons directly from this, if we're going to do this draft again, Jalen Suggs would be third because he's that good. He's been that important to the team. He's that unusual as a player. Could be the third best player on a title team. I think he could. So I think this is the perfect time to sit back and say, okay, we've got somebody here who is super high on him. Is this a reasonable thing to say, and does it translate to the hobby? He's not on card ladder, so it does make it a little bit difficult to find statistics on, but I did find some really nice sale prices for him. So very recently, this is on the 7th of November, a silver PSA 10 sold for 129 USD. Look, I think for someone of that stature, and also I feel like that sort of Prism year was a little bit crappy, so to get a silver 10 out of it, that's actually really good. Again, for that price, I think that's totally fine. Going down the line a little bit, red, white, and blue for $23. I think that's a home run. We've got a rookie signature there for $55. Again, that's Prism. We've got a base there. Let's just stay away from that. I think when you sort of lower end prospecting, I think it's okay just to, move away from that. 50 USD, another silver for 99. Going to something a little bit different, we've got the Contenders Optic Rookie for $27. Again, that's PSA 10. So, look, I've got no problem with him at that price. And I do agree with what Simmons is talking about. I think, and particularly, we've talked on the show how much upside I think the Magic have got. And it actually makes sense to me that he could be the third best player. But if you sort of take a step back from that, is he actually the third best player? And the reason why Simmons loves him is because of his defensive potential. So then do you sort of, again, take another step back and say, well, who are the guards historically that have been high-end defensive talents, and then can you then comp to that? So, for example, the one that comes to my head is Gary Payton. I don't really think that Gary Payton, cost that much money to buy into.
Yeah.
And, like speculating on Suggs, is that such a good idea considering that, do you know where I'm sort of going with this? Like, what's the highest potential that Suggs could get to?
If you're referring to someone that can be the third best player on a team, really not going to be in the spotlight. That's the where is their price?
That's right, yeah. And so that's why I'm kind of like, well,
we have enough problems with second strings, let alone a third.
Yeah. So I just think that, I think that if you're buying into this kid, look, I've got no problem with it. But I suppose where I'm going to is like, what's the ceiling on this guy? I don't think it's going to be anything like that sort of crazy. And actually,
like seeing Orlando, who are you chasing? Obviously, it's not Suggs, it's Paolo.
I think it's Paolo, and then probably second would be Wagner. And I think if we're being realistic about this, like, I feel like Wagner is really like the key piece there. And the other sort of funny thing about the Magic, I was actually thinking about this, is that let's just say you go, okay, we've got our number one, that's Banchero. We've got our number three, that's Suggs. Do you take, say, 2 or 3 players and pick or even 2 picks, get rid of Wagner, and then bring in someone else to be your designated number 2. And then you go, okay, right, we've got a number 2. So you bring in Brandon Ingram to be your number 2. Do you know what I mean?
And it's a very interesting view. Yeah, I like that.
So, we're definitely segued away from the segment here, but that's sort of something that came into my head on that. So I'm not all aboard with Simmons' translation from real life into hobby, but that's okay. It's not Simmons' fault on that. What I did just find, though, Gary Payton. Now, this is really interesting. 2016 Studio Downtown, Gary Payton Raw. This sold for $250. We talk about K-Sids all the time and how important they are. I think that's an absolute home run to purchase.
Yeah.
Also, I kind of feel like Gary Payton's kind of got like an underground following too, where you could sort of just squirrel these cards away. I think they do really well.
Yeah.
2014 Excalibur. Look, I've never seen either of these cards. Just let me know if you've seen them. This sold for $1,200, but that's sold in 2021. Like, I have never seen one of these cards.
Yeah,
I actually think that's a much better buy than anything that Suggs is going to come out with.
Yep.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit unfair to comp him straight to Payton, but I think that's realistically, where is this going to go?
That's my question, right? Like, what could they possibly? Yeah, no.
All right. If we were going to redraft the 2021 draft, who is the one that you would zero in on that would be moving up the board the highest? Just give us 1 or 2 minutes, and we'll go to our next break.
Moving up the board.
Yeah, sure. Who do you like out of this draft?
Who goes up? I think I still. Well, my question would have been, do we keep Cade at the top? And I would say yes.
Yeah.
Who have we got? All of the looking at that list, you're gonna hate what I have to say, but I think Josh Giddey drops.
Okay. Who do you move ahead of Giddey?
Well, Kuminga's actually been playing quite well. Wagner's we've just mentioned.
Yeah.
As being the number 2 to Suggs, right? So do you leapfrog Wagner above?
Mm-hmm. Or even Şengün, you could move him up.
I was going to say Şengün's the big one there that I would have inside the top 10.
So I think for me,
and then Cam Thomas.
Yeah, he definitely moves up a couple of spots from that.
For sure.
So I think for me, I would put Jalen Green down, and I'm probably going to die on this. Look, you guys know how much I love Cade already, so I don't think there's any hiding from that. But Scotty Barnes, honestly, I think that, I'm probably going to die on this island, and I'm going to look terrible for saying this, but I actually really love his all-round game, and I think there's not that many people in the league with his body type and his athleticism, and I think that orbital injury was pretty unlucky. I don't think it's like an Embiid or a Zion thing with this kid where he's going to be injury prone. Like, that's just shit bad luck.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's go to a break, mate, and then we'll come back and we'll talk some Cade Cunningham. That's what's up next in the list, which is perfect timing for our 2021 very, very quick draft recap. Alrighty. US Sports Cards Australia are going to be with us for at least the next 10 months or so, Adam. So thank you so much to team US Sports Cards Australia, ussportscardsaustralia.com.au. If you go there, you will find sports breaks, singles categories, protection for sale, hobby boxes for sale, sports memorabilia. Ross is also selling toys at the moment. I think he's got some water pistols. It's coming into summer.
Lead up, it's almost Christmas.
That's right. What a great Christmas present. A nice little water pistol to pretty much annoy everybody at your Christmas party. Annoy those uncles that you hate. That's the perfect thing to do. Lithium battery, USB charger. How much water does it hold? That's probably the real question, isn't it? I've got no idea. Enough to annoy your auntie and your uncle. That's the main thing.
That is the main thing.
Now, what Ross has been spending a lot of time working on, and I know he's been investing a lot of time into this, is check out My Cards Australia. Basically, the best way to think about this is it's like a ComC, but in Australia. So in ComC, you send all your cards over to them. They hold them in a consignment type service. People then go onto the website, purchase the cards. Ross puts all the cards in together in one tidy little bundle and posts them out. And then the money goes into your account. It's literally as simple as that.
Pretty simple.
He's building it up. He's got 3,000 cards on that moment. He's got thousands more cards, ready to go in. So definitely check that out, guys. You will not be disappointed with the cards that he's got on there. So again, thank you so much, US Sports Cards Australia, for your ongoing support. And we are back. Adam, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. Very refreshed.
I think we should give a shout out at this point in time to centralcoastradio.com. We are currently on there 3 days a week. So if you go to centralcoastradio.com, you will hear us Tuesday night at 11 p.m., Thursday at 10 a.m., and Saturday at 3 a.m. Now, Adam, our Tuesday slot the other week did gangbusters.
Oh, really?
In fact, I might even say we were the top of the day, and that was at 11 p.m. at night. So
feature.
Late night breaks used to be a thing, and late night podcasts are now a thing too, where people want to tune in and listen to some NBA and some tunes at the same time. So
makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Thank you, supporters at Central Coast Radio. We definitely appreciate it. So Cade Cunningham, the last 3 games, has produced 3 triple doubles in a row. I think that warrants for us, Adam, to do a bit of a price check.
We're checking in on Cade.
And I kind of feel like I've been talking about Cade so much, so it's about time that he's played 3 good games, because it's starting to make me look like a bit of a goose that I'm following this guy.
I've been I'm glad you've stayed high on him.
I just when I watch him play, I'm just like, he's good.
Would be jumping off, but it seems like things might be on the rise.
Yeah, so looking at the last 3 months, he's up 16%, which actually makes sense. You know, the season's back again, he's playing well.
But over the last 6 months, he's up 60%.
Yeah, right. That's insane. So if you're picking him up for that sort of $200 mark, that's a really good buy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good buy.
Yeah, I like Cade. He's gone through a lot as far as the injuries have gone. I do think he's been challenged as far as playing for Detroit. It's difficult, right?
Yeah.
They have been the cellar dwellers. At the moment, they're sitting in the middle of the pack of a very soft-looking Eastern Conference, but they're still in the middle of the pack. They've got multiple wins on the board. They've won 3 or 4, 3 games. So, I mean, some big numbers from Cade, some positive signs. Might have a competitive Detroit down the track. Who knows?
Yeah.
I think that's the key.
So I think there's a fair bit going on in this space with the Pistons. I think that they've been bad for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think they've had a lot of front office turnover and turmoil. And I think that it's fair to say that the Monty Williams experiment was a failure.
Sure.
And sort of my observation is, I actually don't think JB Bickerstaff is that good of a head coach. But the irony is he's so much better than Monty that you can already see the improvement already. Like, they're a lot more organized. They're actually now like a pretty tough team to sort of go up against. Like, it's not just like, okay, we're playing the Pistons this week, this is an easy win. Like, you actually have to go out and earn it against these guys. So I think, you know, that to me is kind of a big deal. And I think, like what you said, like, it's right. Like, they're more than middle of the pack though. They're 6th at the moment. And then you can say, oh, okay, well, they really could be 9th. Like, and that is like, that's true. But at the same time, you know,
I think it's great. It's good to see a young core start to show some signs.
Yeah. Look, I think when you've got someone like Cade to build around, that definitely makes things easier. And that whole sort of thing of, you know, taking 3 years to put a roster together, like, that actually makes sense, doesn't it, really? Like, it still takes time, you know, to do it. The main thing that the Pistons focused on in the offseason was just putting shooting around them. So Malik Beasley came in. That was the big thing. Tim Hardaway Jr. Tobias Harris is a pro. I think that's, maybe we're looking past that. And then the other thing too is Jaden Ivey is not the Jaden Ivey that we saw last year. I think that's the best way to summarize this team, isn't it?
True.
Like,
true.
Better coach.
So, it's very interesting. Changing coach. Cade's in that window, right? I just want to put this to you. Cade's in that year 3 window where you go from, you take your step.
You've worked things out. You've taken your hits.
Yeah. The step up to star/superstar is projected from that 3 to 5 year mark.
Yeah.
And if you start showing it at year 3, this is a positive thing.
Yeah.
Can I say that Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey come out of the following year's class? So their steps next year.
Yeah.
Detroit could be competitive.
Yeah. I think Ivey's going to be really interesting to watch because, you know, when he came out, there was the Ja Morant comparison. And I think that he could actually be a sneaky guy to follow hobby-wise because no one cares about the Pistons. No one's watching them. And then the East is so soft that next year, you know, why can't they make the playoffs? I think this year you have to be extremely optimistic to say, oh yeah, like the Pistons are going to make the playoffs this year. I think that's a bit like outlandish. And actually, my feeling about Cade is that this year, I think look, if you buy him this year, I think that's fine. But I would say be prepared to put up with a bit of pain. I think in the next 12 months, this could be a $600 card. That's my gut feeling.
Wow.
But I think, realistically, the question for me is, when is the right time to buy Cade? So, yeah.
Do you think things are starting, that the ball's starting to roll, so to speak?
This is very optimistic. Like, this is very, very good. 100%. Like, I'm feeling fantastic about this.
Like, I'm looking at Cade at the moment, and I'm looking at the last 6 months, and I'm like, it's going up. Last 3 still.
Yeah.
Look, you might be getting a bargain at that $300 price point.
Yeah.
Especially if he keeps putting up these numbers. You're right. And it's not an insane pop count either. 300.
No, it's not.
Quite reasonable.
Look, I'm pretty happy with how Cade's trending. I've sort of picked up a couple along the way that have been pretty cheap. So I'm sort of at the point now where I'm like, I'm not really fussed anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If it goes back down again, I'm probably going to, just about break even. If it keeps going up, I think that's fantastic. But, I still think there's a fair bit of room, like, in this card. I don't see that this is the top. So I'm very excited about this, actually. Yep.
Very interesting. Can I make a point of note just on Cade Cunningham?
Of course you can, mate.
Right. So I'm looking at the population report. The total population of graded cards is 1746. Total gems is only 319.
Yeah, I think it was pretty tricky that year with some of the quality control
it gems
stuff.
at an 18.5% rate.
Yeah,
so,
honestly, I think that year was really tricky. Yeah.
So getting a 10, yes, just food for thought.
Did I tell you I sent a whole bunch of cards off from that draft year, and some of the stuff I got back was like 6 and 7 and 8. Like, it was really bad.
I've got a blue Cade that I want to get graded.
Yeah.
But I'm concerned about the centering. It's the only thing I'm concerned about.
I think you just don't send it in, honestly. Like, I think that year was really bad.
It's true. But if it was a 10.
All right, just to mess with you, I'm just going to mix this up a little bit. So Select WNBA has dropped. So has Select WNBA Origins. And if you aren't familiar with this product, that is totally fine. I think the key point to mention here is basically it's the first look at Caitlin Clark in a pro uniform. Her autographs are live in it. So, there's a lot of people have been buying into WNBA breaks, even if you could not care less about it. Like, that's how much sort of high-end speculation's going into it. It's a little bit hard to comp the box prices directly, but my gut feeling is the prices have probably moved about double to triple the price in terms of sealed box prices and breaks and stuff like that. And Prism hasn't even come out yet. So I think when Prism comes out, people are going to go absolutely, nutso for it. So look, I think the Select is really, really nice. The patches look really good. Unfortunately, they're not game worn. So that's definitely where Panini's dropped the ball.
Yeah.
However, they've introduced this new horizontal autograph, which has got 2 pictures of, like, one sort of a portrait picture and then one an action shot.
Okay.
And WNBA has done this a few times where it's almost like they use that product to sort of experiment with, and then the good stuff then they put into pro. So the best example for me is the silver cracked ice. Yeah. So that was first in WNBA. And that was there for like 2 years, and they rolled it across to NBA. And that's one of my favorite parallels. There's something about it. It's not actually not that great, but I just really like it. So that particular autograph, though, I'm very high on that. I think in terms of a piece that you sort of just chuck onto your desk and you have it sitting on a little stand and you look at it, and you know what I mean? Like, I think it's that type of card. Like, it's not super valuable, but it looks really good.
Yeah.
They've got all the normal Select stuff in it. So, they've got the copper in it, they've got the tie-dye, all that type of stuff. But they also have a little twist, again, which is very WNBA. They've got fast break in it too. So there's fast break blue.
Okay.
And they've also numbered the Enfuegos, which in in men's, I don't believe that they do that. So that's, again, like a nice little twist for that product there. So look, do you buy a box? Do you go into breaks, or do you just wait out and buy singles? Look, it really depends.
To get your Caitlin Clarks?
Yeah, it depends what your risk profile is, like, realistically. But true. I think if you're trying to get, but even like some of the Angel Reese and Cameron Brink stuff, that stuff's been selling quite high. So you can't actually just sort of say, well, no, I'll just like hang out and get singles, because the equation might not be quite there. But look, I think buying into breaks a little bit is okay on this. Buying a little bit of sealed is okay too. You know, don't think it's a problem. I think it really does come back to just getting a little bit of mix on it. I don't think there's any real, right answer on this, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
But it's high. It's definitely much higher than what we're used to. So I think that's probably where my hesitation is a little bit. Whereas WNBA, kind of the fun thing used to be was, it didn't really cost you a kidney to get a hobby box. It didn't cost you, that much to sort of get a couple of blasters and
play
rip
with
them.
the set and
whatever. It was fine, So
it does make it makes it difficult when the entry price is going up and up. Though.
It's almost the same price as NBA, man. Like that's that's quite confronting. Alrighty, our friends at Card Ladder, Shea Gilgeous Alexander, SGA, 2018 Fast Break Pink, numbered to 50. Population on this is 11 at PSA 10. This is spiking hard. This sold for $1,999.99. Adam, buy, hold, or sell this bad boy at that price?
Buy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like this kid might be winning an MVP this year. I feel like it's the fast break. Is it really a $2,000 card? Yeah, still. I reckon he could be a big buy.
So if I was this person buying it, I feel like this is the math that they've done. They're like, right, I could buy silver, but the population on them is much higher. I could buy this card, which is the pink, which is not really that desired. However, there's 50 of them, and the pop on this is 11. Like, the maths in my head makes 100% sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I just don't really think the pink is, like, that popular, but at the same time...
Fast break's not popular, pink's not pink.
Yeah, but
not popular.
Still, like, it's a big dog.
Yeah, you're right.
I think the risk is worth, like, the juice is there, I think. So that's
the juice is worth the squeeze.
Yeah. I feel like tonight's show is going really quickly. Is it just me?
It must be. We're just flying through it because we're the consummate professionals.
Yeah. Break number 3, Ad. Fast break trading cards. Guys, thank you so much for your support. Check out fastbreaktradingcards.com. If you go to their website, you will find an absolute heap of stock. Sports trading cards, basketball, football, baseball, soccer, UFC, wrestling. Fanatics Authentic Certified Dealer. These boys are legit. Entertainment, TCG, Lorcana, Pokemon, One Piece, Star Wars, supplies, grading, PSA grading, BGS grading. 75 Tulip Street, Cheltenham. Fridays 12 till 6, Saturday 9 till 5, Sunday 10 till 4. The boys like to sleep in Sunday mornings, which is why they're open a little bit late. Now, if you do go down to the shop, make sure you check out all of their boxes. They've got very well priced, curated boxes at all different price points. $1, $5. I think they've got a $20 box, and then they've got their cabinet, which has got all their big boys in it. They also like AFL too, so check out the lads at fastbreaktradingcards.com. Also, we have a promo code for our listeners. YCCT10 will get you 10% off all Fanatics memorabilia at their shop. So guys, thank you so much for your support. We're very grateful and we're very happy to keep working with you. Thank you so much. Dyson Daniels, I'm going to make this really quick. So we've already spoken to him about like 3 times this year. However, all defensive stats for Dyson Daniels: 45 deflections, first in the NBA, 17 steals, second in the NBA, and 5 total blocks, which ties him 6 for guards. If you watch him out there, he's just all over people. I actually think he's the perfect backcourt partner for Trey. He doesn't need the ball. He's happy just to defend his ass off out there. He doesn't care about how many shots he gets.
Yeah.
What a fantastic pickup for the Hawks this offseason.
Sneaky Hawks.
But still not very good Hawks. So, and also they traded Luka for Trae Young. We can't really give them too many flowers, can we?
I don't know. They currently still got the same number of championships. I need to go on this.
Why did I even
trigger alert?
Why did I even try and set you up?
Do you know why we don't need to talk about Luka Doncic at the moment? Because he's not really all that important in the context of exciting stuff happening in the league right now.
Okay, well, next week we definitely won't be talking about Zion and Embiid. So why don't we talk about Luka first thing next week? We haven't spoken about the Don for a while.
Fair enough.
All right, thanks, Ad. You've helped me get the list started for next week.
Great. Put Luka right at the top. Talk for about 10 minutes. I'll be 10 minutes late.
Fine. This next one is from Sportscard Invest and NBA.downtown on Instagram. 5 most expensive NBA card sales. Swipe to see. So I'm going to swipe. Alrighty. Number 1, Steph Curry at $5.9 million. his vertical NT RPA Logoman. LeBron James at $5,200,000. Oh god, this is so small. The Upper Deck Exquisite. I literally need a magnifying glass to read this. Now, this is a bit tricky, the next one, because Luca is here twice, even though it's a 1 of 1. So
that's
the
odd.
National Treasures Logoman 1 of 1, 4.6 million, and then again at 3.12. And then finally we get a Jordan at 4.6 million. The Upper Deck Ultimate Collection signed Logoman 1 of 1. Look, I think it's good to actually talk about this every now and then, because we do talk about cheaper cards. We do talk about the sort of the $100, the $1,000 cards. I think to talk about the tippy top, that's kind of fun every now and again too.
It is a little bit funny, and I'm glad Luca appears here twice with the same card.
So my understanding is actually that's been sold 3 times.
It has, but it didn't make the top 5 in the third time.
And there's some speculation that the person who sold it the first time then bought it back once it dipped down in price.
He's the person that bought it first.
So the person who owned it first sold it and then bought it back after it dipped. Yeah.
Bought it back at the 1 point whatever million, was it?
Yeah, like the cheaper price.
The third, the even cheaper. So sold it for 4.6 million and then bought it back. Wow.
Anyway, some people are playing chess and we're just like playing checkers,
It's pretty funny.
All right. So the obvious question here to ask is, which card do you think you would get? Which card do you think should be taken off the list?
I think the duplicate Luca.
Just take it off.
I was gonna say take Luca off the list, which is also my opinion. But the duplicate shouldn't be there. I think it should be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that. Like the $4.6 million sale gets rid of the 3.1.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it would be more interesting if there was 5
most
cards.
Recent sale. Yeah. 5 different cards. Interesting. The intro photo has Kobe on there as the 5th player.
I think that's just to get people's attention.
Honestly, though, no, and this is not me ragging on Luca like I normally do. There'll be plenty of time for that at other
next week.
At other points.
Yeah,
but he is the one that doesn't fit into this picture.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Steph Curry has revolutionized basketball. LeBron James and Michael Jordan are debated as the greatest of all time. Luka Doncic doesn't stand on that mountain yet. I say yet. He's got plenty of time, but he doesn't hold a candle to those 3.
No, not even to Steph Curry though.
Correct. Like Steph Curry he's next in line for that mountain. Do you know what I mean? Like he's chiseling his
face into the mountain.
Face into
definitely
the Mount Rushmore of basketball greats.
Yeah.
Look, I think a Kobe should be up there, maybe. And then maybe someone from another age, but I don't know if there are older players that. Oh, wait, I know what card should be on there because it now is one. It's what it's worth. The Wilt.
Yeah.
The PSA 10 Wilt Chamberlain. And then some random 1 of 1 Kobe.
But what did that sell for? Wasn't that?
No, it was 1.7 million, but when it hasn't been sold since the guy changed it over to PSA.
Yeah.
It's a $5 million card in my eyes anyway.
I think there's a very long way to go for it between 3 and 1 though. Like there might be say 20 other cards in between that and the Wilt though.
I reckon the Wilt is at number 3 because it was sold for 1.7 as an SGC 10.
Yeah.
As a PSA 10, I think it's a $5 million card and it belongs in number 3. And then maybe a $4.5 million card at number 5 and we bump the Jordan up just to give a bit of respect to the GOAT.
So for me, the really interesting takeaway from this is that Jordan isn't number 1. Because when you think about basketball and you think about the hobby, like the one person who has dominated, basically our entire lives is Jordan. And particularly if you think about who is the most liquid player, who has got the most cards graded, blah, blah, blah. And it's Jordan, every single time. So that to me is a little bit, maybe interesting or, something that I wasn't definitely expecting. And if I had my choice, I would take off Luka. And if I wished a card to be on there, it would be like I would love to see a Bill Russell card on there that's got this amazing, whether it's Logoman or it's, a piece of like a Boston patch or something on there that's, so significant, perfect artwork. And then, his signature on that. I think that would be fantastic. But would it get up to that pricing? No, probably not. Bill Russell just doesn't have that juice there. But That's who I would like to see on the list. I think that's who I sort of revere. Yeah.
I mean, the GOAT discussion comes out, and you've got LeBron up there, and you've got Jordan up there, and you've got Curry. I think Curry's just it's an emphatic statement about how recognized Steph Curry is in this hobby, and maybe how there's still opportunity to buy, because it is one of those eternal investments. He is a long-term buy.
Yeah. All right. I think the rest of this stuff, man, we can probably just quick hit this and knock it all out. Let's just see how we go.
Sure thing.
This is from Courtside Buzz IG. Lonzo Ball has no timetable to return from his wrist injury, and Billy Donovan says if he played through it, he would have needed season injury. So this guy's absolutely cooked. Like, I don't want to hear another word about Lonzo Ball on this show again. That's it. He's done. Please retire.
Cease and desist regarding Lonzo Ball.
Let insurance pay out the rest of your contract, mate. Just go away, basically. GG Jackson, Black 1 of 1 from Card Ladder, sold for $23,180. PSA 8 on this. Adam, buy, hold, or sell at $23K.
PSA or the grading doesn't really matter if it's a 1 of 1.
Definitely not.
I'm selling that for $23K. Okay. No offense, GG.
All right, so hold that thought for 2 seconds. I'm going to change the sheet around just a tiny bit. So this next one is from Lameme James, which is definitely one of my top 10.
If you want an entertaining Instagram page.
Entertaining and also informative. So, for example, this came from a screenshot from Lameme James of a blowout forum where someone sold the Jalen Brunson 1 of 1 Nebula for $300 delivered, and it recently sold PSA 9 for $96,661. So
surely, is this legit?
Yeah. So I think that's the risk with the GG Jackson, where you go, okay, great, I'll flip this out at 26K, that's delicious, it's all good, but then you've sort of got that sort of high. When I say pop, I don't mean population. I mean like explosion, up to 96,000. Look, I think that's a really well-timed sale. I think Brunson is really hot at the moment, even if he's not playing that well.
I just love what it says. When Thad Young and Dwight Howard sell for $70, I'd imagine a sweet 1 of 1 of a rookie is worth $300.
Yeah. I mean, it's good salesmanship. I think at that time he was right, because think about it. Like, no one cared about Jalen Brunson even 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. But oh my God.
How 4 years ago, he wasn't on anyone's radar, just full stop. Like, he was in junk boxes.
I'm like, it's so rough though. Like, to post that out, it's like, hey, idiot, look at this guy over here.
I mean, we didn't say idiot. We just said
no, but I feel like the Lameme James page is just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Surely this guy's been tagged for a bit of a chuckle.
This next one I labeled froth material. So this is a LeBron James Black Gold Prism PSA 9. Really, I put this in for you, Ad. I'll let you just walk us through this one.
That's sort of a color match, isn't it? Because they're in the black the black trim with the purple uniform.
I actually didn't notice that. You're right. Yeah.
Like, there's no purple on it.
He's got the black sleeve on his arm. It's got the yellow and the Lakers text. Yeah. And actually the number is black too. It's black on gold. Yeah.
It's that whatever their city jersey or whatever they do is. But it's the black and gold's the trimming to the purple jersey. So
that looks insane.
That is
some of the parallels that Panini make are actually delicious, aren't they? And that is like the perfect example of that. The black golds are just hot, honestly.
PSA should just grade that a 10 for how hot the card looks. Really.
Right. Alrighty. Second year players making a mark. Grady Dick at 21.6 points per game. Wemby at 18.9. And Bilal Coulibaly, who I have traditionally been quite interested in, at 17.7. I think
it's Wemby's not a surprise, right?
No, definitely not. I think Grady Dick at 21.6, that is the one that I wouldn't have guessed that in a million years, honestly. I still put that down to injuries for the Raptors.
Sure, but does this performance change the narrative once Barnes is back?
I think it helps keep him in the rotation. I think once someone's averaging 20 points a game, it's very difficult just to give them DNPs.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's very, very difficult to happen, I think. Yeah.
And does 17.7 points a game mean anything for Coulibaly?
I think it does, because that also means that they're not playing their veterans as much. And I think that was my fear for this year, was that like Koulibaly wouldn't get, Bob Carrington wouldn't get into the lineup, all that type of stuff. And it actually seems like they are playing the younger kids a little bit. So
yeah, that's true.
Alrighty, Wemby heat check. 2023 Optic Wemby Gold Vinyl 1 of 1 PSA 9 sold for $184,000.
Ooh.
Look, I think at that point, there's no other argument than to make. You just have to say, look, if you had this card, you would sell it. Like, that type of money is literally
I'm just
life-changing.
Do you know what? I reckon there might be more Wemby 1 of 1s than any other player. It's phenomenal the amount of 1 of 1s that
definitely
have come out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I know there's a lot of parallels, but did they set a new record for number of parallels without us knowing in other products? Just sneak extra 1 of 1 parallels into each set?
I think Select probably really made a mockery of 1 of 1s. How many they put into that?
It was Noah's Ark, wasn't it? All the different animals they named everything after.
It's like a rainbow of 1 of 1s.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the new rainbow chase. How many 1 of 1s can you get in your rainbow?
Yeah. So I think the last one we spoke about with the 3 second-year players, I think if you want to not focus on this year's draft, you do that, right? So we've done a little bit of this tonight. So I think sort of maybe that's the theme for tonight's show ad. You don't want to dip into this year's draft. Great. This is the show for you. We've covered the Cade rookie year. Now, the next one to look at too is RJ Barrett. This is another Toronto Raptors player who's playing some insane basketball this year. 28.8 points per game, 5.8 rebounds, 7.2 assists, 49% from the field, and 46% from three-point land. I think the tricky thing for me with this guy is that he was drafted to New York. And the problem with being drafted to New York is that you're paying double what you should pay. It's the same as the Lakers. Like, think about Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, all those guys. Like, you just paid, absolute top dollar.
Definitely.
Now, this is really interesting, though. Here we go. So a PSA 10.
But the thing with RJ Barrett, you go into the sales, but he's getting 28 points on a Toronto team that's won 1 game this season.
I think the wins will come around. I actually don't think the Raptors have been that bad this year. I think when Scotty Barnes comes back, he will definitely help them be at least a 40% team. Yeah, or I'm wrong about this, and these guys are tanking as hard as the Jazz are to try and get Cooper flagged.
They're trying to put up points, but I don't know. I feel like they've been in a few games. I don't know. I worry about the good player and a bad team scenario.
Yeah.
Especially, but you're right with the New York parallel.
So population on this is high, 1,300. Last sold for $45. So you can make a very strong argument that, how much lower can this card go down? I think what we should do for a little bit of a giggle is go to his all-time high. It's sold for $1,000. Yeah, that's brutal.
Wow. So he's in the Jordan Poole category.
He absolutely is.
And taking a dip into the Jordan Poole.
From Shams, Kevin Durant has got a left calf strain and will be reevaluated in 2 weeks. This is a real blow for the Suns, who are currently 8-1.
Top of the table, Suns.
Yeah, I hate to hear this. I mean, on the flip side, they've got Booker still. They've still got Bradley Beal. Their point guard situation seems to have actually evened out a little bit this year. Like, they're not using Booker so much as a point guard anymore. Look, maybe they'll actually hold tight until he comes back.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one from @JazzSocks. Toronto receives Ochai Agbaji and Kelly Olynyk. Utah receives Kira Lewis Jr., who left in free agency, Otto Porter Jr., who retired, and a 2024 first who became Isaiah Collier. Who won this trade? I like Agbaji. I really like him.
Yeah, I'm like, I guess they. I
think Utah really dropped the ball on that one.
Yeah, I feel like it's a loss, but it's
no one won.
It was like, how there are win-win trades? This is the opposite of that.
Alrighty, we are going to finish off tonight's show with an absolute feel-good story. Scottie Pippen Jr. tonight, 11 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds, and 50% from the field. Now, this leads us to a more interesting question. Should you be buying up Scottie Pippen Jr.?
Scottie Pippen Jr.?
Yeah, who I believe was a Laker for his rookie cards.
Oh, God, that makes
I've got my head in the game, right?
Yep. No, he might not have been a Laker for the draft, was he? Oh, he might have been. Oh, Card Letter doesn't like him. Isn't it?
Second round draft pick, correct, yeah. So
Yeah.
I've literally found a single card for this guy, 22-23, Panini 1-1, Scottie Pippen Jr. rookie card, 58 out of 99, and this sold for $40. Like,
wow, that is a deep cut.
That's a deep cut, but I love 1-1. I think that there's going to be the Scottie Pippen senior connection there, so I kind of feel like
totally
a little bit
agree.
of value you're going to get from that, and now he's actually like a proper a baller. So again, you don't want to dip into this year's draft. You want to look at some other stuff. Here's something else we've got for you guys, and I think that is where we end tonight's show. Adam,
there we go. Yeah, okay, yeah.
What would you like to add before we sign off tonight?
What would I like to add? I found a Prism rookie card for Scottie Pippen Jr.
How much?
22-23 Panini Prism. Oh God, recently sold. I've got these. This is just for sale. Buy it now for $1.35.
Buy. Is that silver or base?
Oh no, Cherry. No, that's a base. Cherry's got one for $25.
Of course. Oh, hang on. I'm beeping that out. No comment.
Can you edit that so it just says beep? He's got that for $25. There's a bunch there for bugger. They're not PSA graded.
No, people are past that, man. What do you got for us?
There is someone that's got one. PSA 10 blue prism to 199 for $90. But it's you could make an offer.
He's balling. So
Memphis is blue. I just get color match obsessed. But he's in purple and gold.
Yep.
You're right. He's in a Lakers uniform for his rookie year.
Do you know what we didn't talk about is the YouTube channel? I think we should finish on this. Adam, you have been hard at work on the YouTube channel. It looks fantastic. Listeners out there, please go and check out all the work that Adam's done. He's curated the videos. He's put graphics on them. He's been putting shorts up. He's been doing 5 and 10 minute videos for your ease of consumption. We do all of our live streaming on YouTube. All of our podcasts are on there. We've got how many videos on there now, man? Like 350 videos, something like that?
There's a stack up there. The whole back catalogue, they're not video, they're audio only. The whole back catalogue of the podcast is available on YouTube. A bunch of our old lives are there, but I've actually curated that so it features as our special guests. So any episode that had a special guest on it is now available on YouTube in the video on the main screen.
We've had some good guests over time, haven't we?
We've got the other week when we had Lane on.
Yeah.
We
had the guys from Sports Cards Nonsense. We've had Ryan from Gemrate. Yeah,
Ryan. And
shout out Ryan.
Yeah, so there's a lot of content on there. I'll be sort of doing a little bit more as we go. There will be more coming.
Anyway, I thank you for that. The listeners are going to thank you for it once they go and check it out. Like, subscribe, and what's the other thing that people
hit the bell, the notifications bell.
Notifications, that's it.
So you can see when we're live, which we are right now, funnily enough. But and Anthony Milne is actually our listener of the show, is in the chat. Because we talked about RJ Barrett.
Right.
His boy.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Thanks, Ad.
See you next week.